welcome to this month's Vlog Stars. I am joining in with Amy over at Mr. and Mrs. T+3 and Abby over at You Baby Me Mummy, and this month they are doing Share a Story, so we can talk about one of our birth stories, or we can talk about how we met our partner, or something about where we live, I think. I can't remember. Anyway, I decided in my head that I wanted to do sharing my birth story. So this is not for the faint-hearted. If you are a man and you don't want to watch, that's fine. Please just skip, that's fine. I'm not going to gush about my loving husband. I'm going to talk about all the nitty gritty that goes on when you have a baby. So yeah, basically when I had Judah, he was the first baby that I gave birth to. I'd been pregnant before but I'd lost it, and I had no idea what to expect. I went in for a routine appointment on my due date, which I remember was really difficult, even just doing that, because I had really bad not SPD, I did get SPD at the end, but because I'm hypermobile, my hips basically just kept dislocating out of joint, as well as getting a bit of SPD at the end, and I just really couldn't walk. I was on crutches, nowhere near as bad as with Eden, but the last few weeks were not good. And I remember hobbling to the bus stop, which was the one that went to the hospital, was maybe 5 minutes walk for a normal person, 15 minutes walk for me. James and I hobbled. It was absolutely throwing it down with rain, which was really bizarre because it was June, and it had been boiling all the rest of the time. It was like kind of that hot, like it really needs to rain, it just like threw it down. So we were soaking wet. We got on the bus, got to the hospital, and I'd had a little bleed, and they said, oh, you started dilating, you're so many centimetres. I think they said I was 2 centimetres, and I was like, oh, this baby's very prompt, it's my due date. And they said, yeah, just, you know, go back home, get your bag together, and then see how it develops, and we might see you tonight. I was like the first appointment of the day. So I, you know, James and I went back towards the bus stop. Again, I think it was still raining a bit. We messaged my in-laws, because they live like the other end of the country, and said, oh, it's happening, so, you know, come see us. So they started the journey up, 6-hour journey up, and yeah, it didn't quite work like that. Yeah, the labour was, the early signs of labour were very slow. So by the time they arrived, I was getting frustrated, bouncing on my little ball, and just breathing through mild contractions, very mild. They were very early labour, but I was getting irritated, and I was supposed to be somewhere that night. I was at a women's event, so I took myself off to said women's event anyway. I got a lift. I can't remember who took me. Someone collected me. I went off to a women's event, and I remember leading a discussion group, like breathing through my contractions with my TENS machine on. Yeah, and I knew that labour was imminent. I went home about 10:30 at night. It was still, you know, bearable. I just had my TENS machine on, and then I just couldn't sleep. Basically, I just couldn't sleep because of the contractions. I was up all night. I think maybe about 5:30 in the morning, I got to a point where I felt it wasn't bearable, so I think that was our first trip to the hospital. So we went to the hospital, and that was not a pleasant journey. There's lots of speed bumps on the way. Please, if you know someone and they're in labour and you're taking them to the hospital, go a way that avoids speed bumps. It was not nice, it was horrible. So yeah, we went to the hospital and they said no, you're like, I think they said 2.5 centimeters, this isn't labor. And I was like, oh, okay, gosh, I must be really pathetic. I thought I had a really high pain threshold, and went back home. Again, it seemed to ease off, so I thought, yeah, fair enough, they're probably right. But then it just went through phases of getting more and more intense and then like easing off. And I now know, obviously in hindsight, that Judah was stuck and he wasn't coming down. He wasn't really, he was half trying to get down and half not. He was really stuck. He was tied up in his cord a few times and he was stuck. But yeah, so it probably makes sense that it would stop and start and stop and start. And with him being my first baby, I had no idea what to expect from labour, so it wasn't really the best, because I didn't really know. I just thought I was being a wuss, and normally I'm great with pain. So yeah, more bouncing, going for long walks, hobbling around on my crutches up and down the lanes near us, most of the time in agony, stopping to like have a good scream. The contractions when they came were really painful. That second night I was in so much pain, and we went to the hospital again. I don't know what time, maybe 2, 3 in the morning, and I was in absolute agony, like screaming in the lift, like, and when they said I was still only like 3 centimeters, I was like, you've got to be kidding me, what is going on with my body? Like, seriously, I just can't go with this any longer. I was in absolute agony at that point, really real labour pains, like worse than what I had when I was giving birth to Eden. So there was something wrong, but with it being my first, I didn't know that, and they just thought I was being a wuss. Yeah, I remember turning to my mum and just saying, oh my goodness, if this isn't labour, like I cannot take it, I can't take any more, like it can't get any worse. And she was like, love, it will not get worse than this. And you know what, she was right, it didn't. Like, that was the pain limit for me, but it did go on and on and on for a good few more days. It was just horrendous. I was just in agony. I didn't sleep like for 4 days, like at all. I couldn't sleep because I was having contractions like all the time, so I couldn't sleep. And then one of the times was really funny. We rushed through because I thought I was in labour. I thought, this is it. I can't remember how many times we did that, because I was like, I must be at 4 centimeters now, I must. But yeah, I remember we got in the car, we got stuck in the Olympic procession, the Olympic torch. Judah was born 2012. The Olympic torch was going through our city, and we got stuck in the Olympic procession. So we had a motorcade like take us out, because I was like, get me to the hospital, I'm not waiting for this flipping torch. So that was quite funny. We had like a police escort to the hospital, and then when we got to the hospital, we took the shortcut, because you can drive all the way around the hospital to get to the maternity ward, or there's like a little shortcut that all the taxis know, and like when you're in labour you know to do. And for some reason there was like these big like road work type machine, you know, the yellow like random little car digger type thing. It was a small one, but it was like blocking the road. And they were telling me I had to go around. I was like, get out of my way. And they were like, you're gonna have to go around. I was like, we can't, like, the one-way street, will have to like go backwards up here and then all the way back around the hospital, and the queue was huge. I was like, get out of my way. And I was like, right, well, I'm just gonna walk then. So they saw me like in labour with my crutches, and they moved the like diggers out of my way so we could go down that road. And then I went into the hospital, and again they were like, oh no, you're 3.5 centimeters, go home. Oh, it just, yeah, it was awful. It was just not what I expected at all. Like, I was using my TENS machine to the like max. Yes, so that was great. And then yeah, trying to think, sorry, I've waffled for so long. It was such a long time. So eventually, I think day 4, halfway through day 4, what time would it have been? I think it was like about 11 o'clock at night actually, if I remember. Maybe 10 o'clock at night, something like that. And we went to the hospital and I thought, right, this must be it now. And they said, yay, I'd reached whatever the threshold was, 4 centimetres to go through into the labour suite. And it was like, oh, the golden gates had been opened and I was allowed through. Got into the labour suite, and yeah, just kept taking my TENS machine, bouncing on my ball. Again, he wasn't coming down, so I was just there for hours and hours and hours. I think I went 11.5 hours from that point without any painkillers, because I was like, I'm adamant I'm doing this without any medication. Then after about 11.5 hours of what they called active labour, bearing in mind I've been going at this for 4 days with no sleep, then I decided that they needed to give me an epidural. And James and my mum were like, no, you said you really didn't want an epidural. I was like, get me a flipping epidural, like I'm not gonna have any energy left to push if you do not give me some drugs. So they kind of backed off, like scared, and their staff gave me an epidural. As soon as they gave me an epidural, I went to sleep. I literally just went to sleep. I went to sleep for maybe a couple of hours whilst they put me on a drip to try and speed up the process, because Judah just still wasn't coming. I think in total I went another, I can't do the math, maybe another 5 hours after that, when they had me on drips and all sorts. And I'd got to the 10 centimetres and they were like, right, okay, now we can push. I pushed for an hour and a half and he just wasn't moving. The first midwife, I went through 3 different shifts the time I was there. I had 3 different sets of midwives. The first midwife had said, oh, this is a tricky one, I'm gonna have to keep our eye on this one, because his heart rate kept dipping, but obviously he was in distress. And then with it being my first, you put yourself completely in their hands. With the second one, I had a student and someone working with her, and they didn't really flag that up. The third one was actually a duchess who was bank staff and had just come in, like she just worked every so often when she wanted. She was retired, and she was the one who I got to the point where I was like, I'm too tired. I remember apologising to them and just saying, I'm so sorry, I don't think I can do this anymore. And they were like, right, she's not doing it, she's too tired. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, like I'll push, thinking like they were dead disappointed in me, but like they were just processing through that I had no energy left and I needed some help. So I'd been pushing for so long and he wasn't going anywhere, and his heart rate was like scaring them. So they then said, right, okay, we're gonna take you to theatre, we're gonna cut you, and if we can't get him out that way, then you're gonna have to have an emergency C-section. He's like, okay. And I was like, yeah, just do whatever, just get him out. So then we went to theatre. My mum couldn't come in at this point because obviously only one person can come into theatre with you, so we kind of waved bye to my mum, who was worried, but I knew she was praying for us. And then James was like, I don't know, it was so very different. All of a sudden there was like lots and lots of people in the room, people for me, people for Judah. It was just a bit scary really. Everyone in gowns. They gave me more drugs to numb me before they cut me, and then they said as soon as they cut me, they put the forceps in me and I pushed him out. So they said we didn't even need to use the forceps. As soon as they'd given me like those extra drugs, I think because my hips had been in so much pain throughout the whole procedure, because obviously they kept dislocating, although I'd had an epidural, I could still feel the pain in my hips and my back. He was back to back, which they told me afterwards, which meant that's why I had so much pressure in my lower back and my hips. I pushed him out, and then they whisked him off. That was that. I didn't see him for 2 days. Don't want to get emotional, but I didn't really know what was going on. I had a baby before, and I just felt a bit like, oh, where's my skin to skin? Like, pass him here, why can't I feed him? And because I was so adamant I wanted to breastfeed, and he was just whisked off. And James was scared when they pulled him out because he was grey, obviously he wasn't breathing, and he'd not experienced that before. Isis and Shayla were both C-sections, and were really like just simple operations there they were. So he was worrying a bit, and I took him off, obviously. Then they kicked James out because they had to sew me up, so he was worried because he didn't know what was going on with me, but they were just sewing me up, probably giving me some privacy. But I hadn't really explained that very well to him, so he's thinking, oh my god, what's kind of happening to my wife, what's happening to my baby. Yeah, so then I went back into the delivery room after they'd sewn me up. They like wheeled me outside of there. We waited a while for someone to take me back to the suite, and there was my mum waiting, and yeah, it's just been fine. I didn't think I'd get like this. And then it was like, yeah, it's been 5 very long days. But he was born, and as far as I knew, he was safe. And then James and my mum were allowed to come and see him in neonatal. I wasn't able to see him because they thought I had some sort of illness or infection that could obviously not just make him ill but all the babies in neonatal. So I wasn't actually allowed to see him for 2 days. I was on a ward on my own. And then I'll never forget, like, when they finally brought him to me after 2 days of like pumping myself like a cow and making milk for him. Yeah, and then I had him on the ward with me, and we both were very ill, so we had to have like different antibiotics and things, and we were in hospital for maybe 8 days after that. And then yeah, we went through all that kind of process, and then we were allowed out, which was great. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I had help from the breastfeeding specialist on the neonatal ward to be able to get due to that, and I asked for help like every 5 minutes when he wanted reading. While I was on the ward, I was determined I wasn't going home until I knew what I was doing. And then I had the special ladies, the angels or whatever they were called, ringing me up at home, so if I was struggling they would have come out to me. But by then we'd had so much support for so long, we'd kind of got it sussed, and I had my best friend on the end of the phone giving me tips as well. She was on her 3rd child who she'd breastfed successfully, so she gave me lots of help too. So yeah, that was my birth story. So much more emotional than I expected, and I rambled and probably didn't even make much sense, but yes, it was great. So yeah, he was safe, and he's now 3, about to be 3.5 at Christmas. So he's happy and healthy, and he's always had a weak chest because all his lungs were kind of like stuck together. But yeah, he's great, and he's a little strong and little monkey. So yeah, that was my birth story. So thank you for watching, and go check out all the other vlog stars. I will put a link here to Amy and here to Abby, and you can go and check out their videos. Yeah, sorry, I'm just a bit stunned now because I didn't expect to get all emotional. So I'll just say a quick bye bye. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. If you liked this video, please like. If you're like, oh no, keep your gory details away, then please comment, and I won't do more videos like this. And yeah, there's not much else to say really. Go check out all the other amazing stories over on Vlogstar. So thanks for watching. Bye. The other day I got another box, my little magic box. Now in this box I was really pleasantly surprised.
We've been watching these videos on YouTube today with Mummy, and we've decided to do some of our own, so that's what we're gonna do. Let's start.